Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. Bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word.
Round and round and I'm getting it. Alright, so now that we're out on the street, let's go ahead and start this vlog. So, I want to talk to you guys about how you feel about the YouTubers asking for money to quote-unquote promote their stuff. Like, do you guys get upset? Do you guys donate? Do you agree with it? How does it really make you feel? And when you answer that question, what I'm going to say next is going to go into why I really am asking this question. I personally, I could care less what the other YouTubers do. Do it with Dan, ask for some money to get another motorcycle. Walterific asked for some money to get another motorcycle. At the end of the day, I don't agree with what they were doing, but at the end of the day, on another side note, I could care less. I'm not going to spend my time worrying about what another grown man is doing. This is how I look at it. If you like it, if you agree with what they're doing, then you support it. If you don't agree with what they're doing, then you don't support it. And when I say support it, I mean if they ask for money and you want to donate, then donate. If you think it's a crock of shit and you think it's unnecessary and they shouldn't be doing it, then it doesn't take away from the content they bring. I mean, if you've been watching their content thus far, then that's something that you like. Them asking for money shouldn't change you liking the content. Now, you may disagree with it, but just don't support what they're asking for. See, like, I don't support what Do It with Dan or Walterific asking for money. That's just not something I do. What's going on? That's just not something I do. But at the same time, since I don't support it, I just don't donate. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go into all the details of why. Like, I completely understand that I'm a different type of person. I can understand that the things that I do and the things that I think a lot of people wouldn't agree with, but that's because that's the way I was raised. I grew up. I'm not gonna. Why are you worried about how somebody else operates their life if it does not directly affect you? I can't say this or stress this enough. If it does not directly affect you, you should not be concerned with what another person does. And then I see all these people get on these YouTube comments, and like I told you before, I condone that. If you want to come and express yourself, by all means do it. But I don't understand why people are getting so upset and so bent out of shape about what somebody else is doing. I can't begin to fathom that. Lane split action. So, I mean, my whole point is, stop being so damn sensitive. If you're over 21 years old and you're concerned about how another man does things, how he lives his life, the decisions that he makes, you need to sit back and think and wonder why it is that you care about how another man is going to affect your life. And I can understand where some people will come from and say, well, these people that are doing these things are going to be emulated and imitated by young children who watch these things, and this is what they're teaching. Well, that's fine. I agree with that to a certain extent, but it all goes back to the way you raise your children at home. So if you're worried about something like that, then you need to be focused on the parents and how they're parenting their children. If you're worried about your child following someone on YouTube, then that's up to you to determine or discourage that child from viewing that, or determine, like I said, if he can watch or she can watch what they're watching. If you don't want them watching that, you're the parent. At the end of the day, everything boils back down to home. So it's like the parents are ultimately, or should be ultimately, held responsible for their children's actions. If a child sees something on YouTube and goes out and decides to emulate it, well then that's the parent's fault for not having the proper training instilled into the child to discourage him or her from wanting to do that. Perfect example. I grew up my entire life, and I grew up around some people that dealt with drugs and did drugs, and you know, all of the above. Had guns, fought, shot, whatever, anything you want to think of. I've been around that. Now, in my lifetime, I've been tested on different scales and different levels, and I've overcome all of that because I had the proper training. My parents taught me no one in our family has ever done drugs, so you don't want to be the first. Like, there's certain little key things that you can say to your children, and your children will imitate what you want them to imitate. So if you want to instill the proper thoughts into them, you start early. And I'll never forget that. Like, that always ran through my mind when somebody would say, hey man, y'all want to hit the blunt? It got to the point where when I would go places, all my guys, they knew, hey, don't smoke around Pat. He ain't with that. He doesn't smoke. He's not about that. So they respected me enough to know that I wasn't living that lifestyle, and they didn't bring that to me. And I think about it all the time, how I grew up, and all I could hear in the back of my head was, you're going to be the first one in our family to do that. And it's those tiny things that make a difference. So that's my argument about kids being the people who put out the content, the kids being impressionable. You shouldn't worry about that if the parenting is good. And if they aren't your children, you shouldn't be worried about that anyway. That's not up to you. You can't control. If everybody spent the majority of their time worrying about things that mattered and focused on the things that they needed to get done, the world would be better off. I want to see if she see me. I wonder if she can see me. You talk. So that's just how I feel about that. I mean, I hate the way the world has become so sensitive. It's like, I don't know, man. It's so aggravating. I just hate seeing people worrying about everybody else, and then their life is in shambles. If you took the little bit of time away from worrying about somebody else's problem and focus a little bit of that time on each one of your problems, I promise you probably wouldn't have any problems whatsoever. A lot of people don't think like that. So do it with Dan. Walterific, by all means. I support whatever you do as far as your life. Whatever you do in your life is what you do in your life. Am I going to support like the donations and the drives? Probably not. I just wasn't raised like that. I believe personally I'm too proud to ask for some money unless it was for a different cause. Now, if I had something like in my organization, in my fraternity, if I had something like a situation where there was someone in need, or like we were doing a drive or something like that, somebody had they needed an operation or something like that, then yeah, I'd do one of those fundraiser campaign things, and you know, maybe I'd put it out there. If you guys wanted to do it, then you guys wanted to do it. But it wouldn't be for me to better my life. I I just couldn't ask you guys for stuff like that.